Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, all you lovely people? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to yet another edition of Wade Watches, where you guessed it, welcome to yet another fresh out of the movie theater review. I just got through watching Flight Risk, Mel Gibson's latest movie. But before we get into that, let me just a polite PSA, just a polite, gentle reminder for all you lovely people out there. Though I'm sure that you viewers who watch these videos, you're not the people who are doing this, and I'm going to say it in the most gentle way as possible because it's something that I've definitely addressed in the past in my videos, and I'm not gonna like waste a lot of energy on it because frankly it's out of my control. We just live I don't know, this day and age that we live in. I guess people don't have as much decorum as they used to. At least that's what the boomers keep telling me, but you know, I wasn't alive during the 50s or the 60s or 70s, so I don't know if people were more polite back then than they are now at the movies. But nonetheless, I'm just gonna say this: just don't be that person who, for whatever reason, pays to see a movie, but then like loudly talks throughout the entire movie, not only ruining it obviously for other people around you, but kind of ruining it for yourself, because you're paying to watch a movie, but you're talking throughout the movie, so you're missing it and you're distracting other people. Just don't be that person. And again, I'm not gonna call the couple that was sitting behind me. I'm not gonna call them any names. I'm not gonna waste my energy saying fuck them, fuck those. Like, I'm not doing that. Because frankly, it's 2025. I'm trying to go in a better direction. I'm trying to better myself. So I'm not gonna waste energy on it. I'm just gonna I'm gonna be the bigger man. Long story short, I'm just gonna politely ask those of you out there who are moviegoers like myself, don't be that person. Please don't do that. Please don't ruin it for the audience members, and don't do that to yourself, because if you want to talk through a movie, just stay at home. You know, going to these types of places these days is a luxury. You know, we're all dealing with inflation, and you know, I'm not an established professional critic. I wish I was doing this for a living, but I'm not yet at that level. So it's money out of my pocket, and I'm sure it's money out of everybody else's pocket. I don't think this was a press screening, so I don't think there were any critics there who are, you know, watching this for free. So just don't be that person, all right? Just politely asking you lovely people out there to not be that person. Anyway, on to the actual movie Flight Risk, directed by Mel Gibson, and of course starring Mark Wahlberg, Michelle Dockery, and Topher Grace. First thing to say is that well, the first thing that springs to mind is I'm surprised that this is, frankly, Mel Gibson's latest movie. We're talking about the guy who, of course, brought us Braveheart, Apocalypto, The Passion of the Christ, and Hacksaw Ridge. And when I saw, first I saw the poster, but when I actually saw the trailer for this in theaters, and it was revealed that it was Mel Gibson, though they didn't name drop him in the trailers. It just said, you know, Braveheart, Apocalypto, Hacksaw Ridge, and I'm like, okay, Mel Gibson. I was like, wow, okay. Interesting choice, but I'm very intrigued to see what he does with this. And what he does with this is wow. What he did with this premise was much more lighthearted and campier than I ever could have imagined. The trailers, you know, obviously made this, you know, seem like it was going to play out as just that straightforward claustrophobic thriller where, you know, of course, you know, the common complaint about it, and I agree with it too, is that they gave away, you know, one of the biggest twists with Mark Wahlberg's character, who, you know, I'm going to say it because it's in all the trailers. They've been marketing the hell out of it. Mark Wahlberg is a heel turn here. He's playing, I don't think I've ever seen him in a movie where he plays like a straight up villain or bad guy, maybe someone with questionable morals, but he's the bad guy here. He's the hitman who, you know, who is, you know, pretty much trying to take out this U.S. Marshal and this witness, this guy who's associated with the mob before they can get from point A to point B, so that the witness can testify against the mafia. He's a hitman sent on behalf of the mafia to take them out while they're still in the air on this plane trying to fly from point A to point B. Now we have ourselves a little claustrophobic thriller that, like I said, really, from the first opening minutes of this, it's pretty clear that this isn't gonna play out like a dark, gritty, intense, claustrophobic thriller where you're afraid for the people in the film. You're, you know, scared of what Mark Wahlberg's gonna do next. It's all very tense. You're just gritting. You're on the edge of your seat. You're gritting your teeth. No, not at all. And I'm not gonna lie, it pleasantly took me by surprise. in some parts, but it also, hindered it at others, because obviously if you're going to go like, the more campy, cheesy route with this, that definitely, strips away at any potential sense of like tension or legitimate danger or threat or anything that you could have had going on there, because it really is very, frankly, the word for it is it's pretty much wacky throughout. There are a couple of moments where I was like, okay, yeah, Mark Wahlberg is actually pretty scary here, pretty intimidating, really good at portraying like just a straight up sadistic psychopath. He's really doing good here. Michelle Dockery is really doing well as somebody who's just at the end of her rope. Topher Grace, again, that kind of plays into what I was saying about this film, just Flight Risk not taking itself super seriously at all, which is just, I'm still like recovering from that. Like, this is the same person who directed The Passion of the Christ who did this. This is the same person who directed Hacksaw Ridge who directed this. Like, tonal change, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I also have to remind myself that Steven Spielberg did Schindler's List, but he also did, like Raiders of the Lost Ark. So, versatility, variety is the spice of life. I don't know, directors do different things all the time, so I'm not hating, I'm just like surprised. But anyway, going back to Topher Grace, that kind of plays into what I'm saying about this being, considerably more campy and cheesy. He's definitely, kind of playing that twitchy, nervous guy. And I mean, before he even gets on the plane, he's like, oh my God, what's this? What's that? Like just that jumpy, nervous, oh no, like whimpering. So yeah, when the movie opens up with him. So when I saw how Topher Grace was acting, I was like, yeah, this is not going to be a serious movie at all. I pretty much knew what I was in for, and I just, like the passengers on the plane, I just buckled in and enjoyed the ride. And like I said, overall, for the most part, I did have a good time with it. I don't know how they pulled it off. I don't know how they took something that was definitely marketed as like this, violent, gritty, claustrophobic thriller from, again, the director of Braveheart, The Passion of the Christ, Hacksaw Ridge, and Apocalypto, for Christ's sake. But I don't know, understand I just don't get that. Like, how was I able to enjoy what was, again, marketed as like, this is Mel Gibson, so it's going to be really dark, it's going to be really intense, but in execution it was just so cheesy. I still don't understand how they pulled it off, how they were able to make me enjoy it, but god damn it, they pulled it off, and I had a blast watching Flight Risk. That being said, there were a couple of, overly noticeable leaps in logic. I don't want to give away, I don't want to do a plot synopsis. You guys know how I roll. I don't want to give away too much. Let's just say you could have taken, let's just say, I'm going to say this. There's a problem in the film that's pretty noticeable. You already know what the problem is. That could have, at a certain point, it's pretty obvious that this problem could have been handled much sooner than when it finally does get handled. That's all I'll say. And it's a very glaring, in-your-face, noticeable problem that I'm pretty sure that somebody who is trained as a U.S. Marshal would have just straight up taken care of right away. They would have just been like, okay, this is a huge problem. It's literally impeding us from getting from point A to point B. Let's just get rid of this problem and continue on to our destination. We even have what we need at this point to do what we need to do, but we're keeping this problem around. No, let's not keep the problem around and get rid of it. That was too noticeable. That was in your face. I guess, for the sake of entertainment, I understood why the problem was kept around as long as it was. The problem has been very heavily marketed. It's all I'll say is it's on the posters, and it's probably the reason that you would even bother to see this. So, fair point there. But in the context of the movie, you could have dealt with it much sooner. So there's that too. But nonetheless, I'm not gonna lie, this is cheesy, stupid fun that I never would have expected from the same person who did Braveheart and The Passion of the Christ and Hacksaw Ridge, and I found myself having a blast with it and enjoying the shit out of it. It's right up there with Den of Thieves 2, where I know there's a lot of flaws. I know it's stupid. I know that it's by no stretch of the imagination a masterpiece, but god damn it, for a January film, I'm having fun with it. So I'm going to give it the same rating as Den of Thieves 2, and wrapping this review up, I'm going to give Flight Risk a 7 out of 10. Overly cheesy, more campy, and less serious in tone than I expected, but that's honestly what made it work. Our trio of protagonists, who they're pretty much the only three characters in the movie, all do a great job. Mark Wahlberg really does a good job at portraying just this sadistic villain. Michelle Dockery really does a good job of just, like, trying to, keep this situation in control and, carry out her task. Topher Grace just does a good job of just being that kind of like nervous little type wimpy type of guy. Like, he really pulled it off. So I like the cast, I like the story, I like the cheese, I like the ham, I liked it all. So 7 out of 10 for Flight Risk. This has been another edition of Weight Watches, and I'll see you lovely people next time. Namaste.